The Minnesota Wild podcast is presented exclusively by Acrisure.
Gus looks good, so we'll see how he's feeling here after the skate. Eki, same thing. Eki skated for a while prior to practice, too, so that's a good sign.
Okay, so Gus backing up tonight in that capacity?
I'm not sure. I'm going to talk to Freddie and see what we got going on.
Sure. And game time then possible, or no?
Eki's not in tonight.
Okay.
What about Trennan?
Trennan's in.
You go 70 or?
No, we'll go 12 and 6.
12.
Yeah.
Feeling a little more like your real team again? I mean, as you see those guys getting a little more involved on the ice?
Yeah, I think it's always nice to see, when the guys, have been injured for a while, when they obviously, get back. I think for their sake, too, it's just, it's a lot when you're away from the team and then you're doing all the rehab and skating on your own. So I think, usually when they progress back into this situation, they'll be back in the near future, so that's nice to see.
Does this break set up that Eriksson probably likely when you resume should be ready to go? I don't know if he can skate during the downtime or what he needs, but is the break helpful, I guess? Or
I think so. Yeah, for sure.
What are you expecting tonight against Chicago?
I'm expecting us, to come out and with a focused effort. We haven't hit a few. We've had some targets that we haven't hit the last few games, but make sure we're coming out and getting to the identity that gives us the best chance to win. I think the energy back in our game, the competitive nature that we play with, strong structure. Those are the components that we're focusing on, and put it together for 60.
John, when pucks aren't going in, and there's going to be ebbs and flows in every season. Is there a message to the team at this point right now on how you want to attack to maybe get some offense cooking?
Yeah, I think it's always about finding ways to improve your game all the time. I think it's all different components at different times, and I think it's always about the process of how you're defending, how you're playing offense. That's always a continuing ebb and flow as the season goes on, and that's how we've always approached it. That's how we're approaching our games right now. And to me, it's not one particular element. As I said before, is getting to the competitive nature that we play with, playing a fast, strong, connected game, offensively, defensively. Those are the components that give us the chance, and that's what our focus has been.
And I know a couple games ago, a couple morning states ago, you said to, the cool it with Boldy. Mm-hmm. But I mean, like last two games, it just seems like he is the just east-west overpassing, things like that. Like, how do you get him to get back to that attacking mentality that we saw earlier this year when he was getting 9-10 shot attempts a game? Yeah,
I think it goes back to individuals or as a team game. Back to Gorgie's question, I think is the identity that we want to play with is what I've talked about, is whether it's individual or as game or as a team game, is what's the identity that gives us the best chance to be able to be a great checking team, number one. What gives us a chance to be a great offensive team, and not overthinking certain situations, but the process of getting it. So it could be individual players or it could be the team game. That's what our focus is. It's what we're talking about, and that's what we expect to see tonight.
The connectedness is a word that was used often earlier in the season when you guys are playing well. Does that mean you're seeing a lot of disconnected hockey lately?
No, I don't.
I guess is it one or the other? Or the antithesis?
No, I just think there's little. I think we're playing. I don't think we're disconnected. I think that there's details within that connectivity that sometimes make the difference of giving up odd man rushes or not giving up odd man rushes, generating odd man rushes or not, defending at your net front, getting how you get to the other team's net front. All those little things, it comes down to details. That's why it's important, that you do have a strong structure and you do play a connected game, because you're not throwing darts at a dartboard. You're okay. This is pretty good to this point. Now, what's the difference of having it connect or not connect? And I think that's important, of having a strong identity and having a strong team structural game, that when the ebbs and flow of the season go, there's pinpointed things you can look at as opposed to trying to fix all different kind of things.
Overall, is there anything new with Middleton or Lauco?
No, other than they're progressing positively, all on track. Loco, I don't necessarily think has a timeline, but Middleton's timeline, he is on track to hit that.
Is Loco going to need surgery? Or?
No.
Okay.
At this point, no. No.
Do you, with Rossi, earlier in the season, there were times where he was producing, but his overall game was not great. How much how many conversations did you have to have with him, and how impressed have you been or satisfied have you been with his overall game the last month?
Yeah, the nice thing is we didn't have to have a lot of conversations with Marco. I think he's taken some initiative and ownership of his own game, and it's nice to see when you're right, like he was producing, but the overall game wasn't there. A couple meetings, this is what we'd like to see better, this can help, and then he takes ownership of his own game and does those things, and now he's been very consistent. I think he's playing a fast game. I think he's making plays when he has opportunities to. I'd say he's probably one of our top 2 players that gets to the net front offensively, and he scores there. I think the competitive nature of the game that he needs to play with is all there, and that it's great to see, because that's what you need. You want to be able to help guide the player into this is the foundation, these are the expectations that we need to see in the level you need to get to. He takes the information, he understands it, and then he takes it upon himself to continue to make those changes and make it consistent. And that's a great thing that Marco's done, and I think he's getting rewarded for it with the way he's playing. And
it seems to be his character trait. I know 2 years ago you weren't here, but he spent the entire summer here after not being satisfied with the season the year before. Then, you had the conversation with him this summer to, maybe come back a little bit early. His professionalism is something that, is pretty impressive for a 22-year-old.
Very much so. I think he's aware. Like, I think a big thing too is self-evaluation skills. He has strong self-evaluation of what are things he does well, what are areas he needs to work on, and then the next part of it is he's an action guy. He takes action on what needs to be done, and that's. It's nice that he understands those things and he can have intelligent conversations about the strengths and weaknesses of what he wants to do, recognizes the weaknesses, and then he's able to take action to fix those things, whether that's on his own, whether a little bit of help. He's a guy, he likes communication, he likes some feedback. But the nice thing is you don't have to overdo it with him. It's not showing him clips all the time. It's quick hits with him, and then he takes initiative to get going, whether that's his off-ice training, his summer habits, his in-game, in-season play. And that's why he's really rounding out his game, and he's a real important player for us, and he's having a good season so far.
In Winnipeg, you used the term off script, kind of got outside of who you are. How much of the message that night and since then has been just kind of reminding guys, this is the game we play, this is what we need to do?
Yeah, we didn't, they had a day off yesterday, obviously, with the back-to-back, so we addressed some of that this morning with them, and just reiterated some of those exact things that you're talking about with some examples of it, and, that's, I think, the benefit, as I said before, of, I think, having an intense training camp where you're instilling your foundation and you're getting off to a start like we know what it is. Now it's about not focusing on what happened. We got one target. Our target tonight's Chicago, right? So we got to make sure that we're on target and we're going to hit it.
Thanks, John.
Good? Okay, thank you.
For an extraordinary advantage in sports, you need a game plan. For an extraordinary advantage everywhere else, all you need is Acrisure. With a high-tech human approach to insurance, cybersecurity, and more, Acrisure helps you take care of what you care about. That makes winning easy. See what Acrisure's extraordinary advantage can do for you at Acrisure.com.